everybody, it's Mike from DestinyGuitar.com, and in this lesson we'll be talking about a sus chord, the D sus, or Dsus4. Let me explain to you a little bit of the reason why it's called a suspended chord, because that's what the SUS stands for. It stands for suspended. What this means is that you're taking a note that would traditionally go in a major chord, which is the second note in the chord, or what we call the third in the scale. And I understand a lot of these terms can be a little bit confusing, but the reason why it's called a suspended chord is you're taking that note, that middle note in the triad, and you are raising it up a half step and eliminating that third. So what you're adding is a fourth. So instead of having the first note in the scale, the third note in the scale, and the fifth note in the scale, which is what you need in order to create a major triad or a major chord, you now have the first, the fourth, and the fifth. That's why it's called a Dsus4. You are suspending that middle note and you are creating a 4 in there, or you're adding a 4 if you will. You'll see this written in two different ways. It's written as Dsus or any other variation of the suspended chord, Esus, Asus. It's written Dsus or it's written Dsus4. So if you see it written either way, just know that it's exactly the same chord. They're both suspending a fourth in the chord. Now the cool thing about the Dsus4, and the reason why you see this chord a lot in charts, is because it's so easy to play and it sounds so pleasing. Essentially what you're going to do is fret out a D chord and then just hammer on or fret out or add on to it your pinky, and then lift off and go back to the major chord. So it's on, off, and there you have your D and then your D sus chord, and then back to the D. I'm going to show you exactly how to play it. It's easy, it's cool, and it opens up some possibilities for you in different voicings and making cool sounds on the guitar. Alright, here we go. Let's go to the close-up and I'll show you how to play the D sus chord. Now what you're going to want to do is begin by playing a standard D chord, which hopefully you're familiar with. And essentially you get there by placing your first finger on the second fret of the third string, third finger on the third fret of the second string, and then you tuck your second finger on the second fret of the first string right back here. It is a 4-string chord, and so here we have our standard D major chord. To suspend this fourth, it's very convenient that it's this top note, which is our third, that's being played. In other words, the middle of the triad. Okay, I don't mean the third note that's being played. I mean it's actually designated as the third note in the scale, and so it's the middle note, because every major chord is comprised of a first note, third note, and fifth note in the major scale. So it's convenient that our middle note, or the third, is located right here, because all we have to do is take our fourth finger and play that note, which is the third fret of the first string, and we have our Dsus4. There it is, Dsus4, and it's typically played in a chord progression often by playing the suspended 4 chord and then resolving it back to the standard major chord. So it's like this. Now, one of the first things that I find that many people ask when I show them this is, well, exactly what happens then when I lift this finger, because they may have seen that done a lot. And what you have there is you have what's called a D2 chord. And I won't go into all the specifics behind it, but just know that this is a very common chord progression, or a variation on a theme to play while you're rooted on a D, is to go D, suspend it to the 4, back to the D, drop it to the 2 by lifting this finger, then back to the D, D, D2. Okay, so there you have it. It's the Dsus4 chord, or Dsus as it's called, and what we're doing is we're taking that F sharp, which is the middle note in a D major chord, and we are suspending it to the fourth note in the scale, which is a G. And so when we play this Dsus4, what we're getting is a D, and then we're getting an A, we're getting another D, and then rather than having this F sharp on the top, we're bringing it up to a G. And there we have our suspended fourth chord.